Welcome back. I got some new sprites in The Last Phoenix and a lot more coming, but check out this elevator, dude. It sounded awesome. The design of it is somewhat inspired by Hollow Knight, but also cages. Oh yes, just the pixel art cages I was looking for. I'm working with pixel artists, and this is kind of the art that I got, but I wanted to tweak it, change it, make it my own, you know? I also have a budget, so I gotta do any changes that I want on my own. But one of the things I noticed is that the cage didn't quite fit into that tight space. It was overlapping on the edges a little bit, so I actually bent the bars the opposite direction. I bent them inward, and this kind of also gives it more of a creepy vibe. It kind of also looks like a prison cell cage. I don't know if those have a special name, do they? The elevator's all busted and broken because the goblins, they're kind of like scavengers, and so they would have just found this around and repurposed it. Someone suggested that some of the armor that Felix, the main character, gets is also sort of like repurposed armor, and I think that's really cool how the art kind of fits the lore a little bit. I don't know if those horizontal bars need those spikes on them. That might be a bit much. But I do want the game to feel a little bit dangerous, a little bit creepy, a little bit scary. So I think the top had plenty of details, but the bottom needed some. So I just went in through some details there, and I realized it wasn't really symmetrical. That's why I have the vertical symmetry tool there. And I wanted to either put like a bit of a design on the bars or something. So I decided that spikes was the way to go. And then at the top here, I'm just damaging that metal a little bit more. And then I went back down to the bottom to do, I'm jumping around. Dude, this is how I do art. I jump from thing to thing. It's like whatever pops into my head. Sometimes I notice something on a part of the artwork that I'm not even working on. And so I just jump right there, do that thing before I forget. So I kind of put stuff where I wanted it to be, but now what I'm doing is defining the edges a little bit better and polishing the shapes. I don't know if you remember earlier, but I kind of just erased those bars in the middle, so they don't even have like an outline where they're supposed to be broken. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in and put the details on those bars. I've got the bars on different layers, and I'm also going to export this entire elevator in separate layers, because in the game I'm gonna have to sort it, like put some bars behind and in front of the player, which will make it look pretty cool. But in general, you should always have a ton of layers, because if you want to make a change to something, it'd be annoying if that one change, like if I wanted to, change the bars completely, meant that I had to erase a bunch of stuff. By the way, if you're new here, the pixel art program I'm using is Aseprite. There's a link in the description. Please use that link. I get a tiny little kickback. So I'm not fully satisfied with how this elevator came out, and it might need some polish. It will need some polish, and especially I want to mess with the lighting and stuff, but all that takes a lot of time. So I felt like it was important for me to throw this in the game and see what it looks like in the game, because it's really easy to get caught up constantly changing stuff, and then you might miss some like crucial aspect of what it needs to look like in game. Kind of like how the bars were a little bit too big for that elevator shaft. So here you can see some of that sorting where there's bars in front and behind the player, but I'm gonna need to mess with that and make it all look good and stuff, I know it's kind of early, but please follow the Kickstarter project for this indie game I'm working on. It'll make me feel a little less insecure. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you'll get to play weekly updates of the game. Check out my footrest. It's a skateboard and it's got glow-in-the-dark wheels, dude. I'll see you next week. Dev Live.